Hello and welcome to another video. This is Voorhees Retro 81, and this is a video response to Gull Payne on the subject of retro or modern. Now, I basically play games in an order of which one I want to play next, and which ones I'm into at what time. So sometimes I'll be playing more modern games, other times I will be really into playing a retro game, and it just really it depends on how the mood takes me. I will say I probably play more retro games, and I think the reason for that is it's kind of a three-way combination of my skill set of gaming was developed definitely, during the 80s and the 90s. So if my brain's in the kind of like game playing place, if I want to just chill out when I'm gaming, versus if I want to get really involved and like really try to beat something or whatever, I gravitate towards stuff that I can easily just sit down and play, and like my muscle memory just takes over, and that's normally retro stuff. So if I'm having sort of just like I've got an hour or two and I want to play a game, and I don't really know which game I want to play, I will probably end up playing like a retro game. So I'll play like a 2D fighter or a vertical shooter, or or a platformer or whatever, where normally more frequently when I get into playing the modern stuff, it's because I've got a modern game that I really want to get stuck into. I do most of my modern gaming now, like as in current gen. My current gen gaming machine is the PC now. I decided after the PlayStation 4 that I was going to focus in on the PC, because I think ultimately I definitely got my money's worth out of the PlayStation 4, but at the same time I could see that I was getting sort of diminishing returns from the PlayStation 4 in comparison to my previous systems like the 360 or the PlayStation 2 or the PlayStation 1. I just wasn't as into the PlayStation 4 as I'd expected to be. So I thought, well, in between the fact that just via the time that I had to upgrade it, all PCs eventually die and then you have to get another one. I've ended up with quite a powerful machine just kind of at random because of when I had to buy it, and as such there's not really much in it between a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox One S or whatever it's called, and the PC. And playing games on the PC, although it can be frustrating with some things just not working with the hardware, even though like that's how they're designed to work, you're basically saving yourself having to pay to run a PC and have a console at the same time. And I think that's a sensible thing to do now that I've kind of realised that like modern gaming isn't quite what I'm into anymore anyway. I mean, obviously as adults we're all much busier than we were when we were kids, say in the 90s or the 2000s or whatever, or the 80s in my case, and as such modern games you can be playing an hour just to get through one environment. One series I play a lot of is Borderlands, and anybody who knows anything about Borderlands will know that some of the missions in Borderlands, especially the story mode missions, go on and on and on and on, and that's fine, but it does mean that, you know, if you want to actually sit down and complete part of the game during your session and be satisfied with that, then you've got to sit down and play the game for a sizable chunk of time. And if you've only got, say, like an hour around all your like sort of real life adult stuff that you've got to do, and you know you're at work for like 9 hours of the day or whatever, then you know that's going to be a problem. And that's something that causes me to gravitate towards the retro stuff as well, is that, you know, even though like I can now like consistently, once you see the sort of basic mode of the game on Dodonpachi, what is it called? I want to call it Dodonpachi Resurrection, but Dodonpachi Daifukatsu anyway, the one on the 360. I normally pretty much I normally beat that in one credit now. But even though that's the whole game, that only takes about sort of, I don't know, 15 or 20 minutes to do that. So I can sit down and like buzz through that whole game in like 20 minutes. And again, the same thing, like, you know, I can get through to Bison on Street Fighter 2 in about sort of 10-15 minutes. So like that kind of like game satisfaction you can get from retro a lot quicker, and in a way that's much more manageable around an adult life than with modern games. And it wouldn't surprise me if to an extent that's why a lot of people around my age group, I mean, just for spoilers, I'm 39, I've you know, a lot of the guys who do predominantly retro seem to be in that position where, you know, they've got full-time jobs, they're at work a lot of the day, and they still want to keep their hand in gaming, but we're kind of in this position where you don't always have time to sit down with like these massive games. You know, I mean, I think that's part and parcel of why, from a mechanical point of view anyway, if you pull away all the like community toxicity potential and stuff like that from like online gaming, which at the end of the day you can just dodge by never making your mic live or whatever. You know, you don't have to talk to anybody while you're playing an online game. You can just be silent and just get on with doing your team thing. But one of the main mechanical reasons I just don't play online games is that I don't have time for the grind. I really don't have time for that full-on constant grind to get levels and such like. That's weird. Oh, it's because he got paralysed. And I mean, I think a lot of what I'm saying actually I've seen echoed by other channels where they've been like, you know, I'm not ragging on modern games, but I don't really have time to sit down and really get into them. They just demand way too much time of me, and I just don't have it, because, you know, my life is on the go all the time. You know, I've got to be at work, and then, you know, I'll get home and I've got to sort out stuff for the family, you know, etc., etc., all that kind of stuff. And then by the time I've done all that, you know, maybe I've got like, you know, half an hour to play games, or do, you know, just half an hour of me time to do hobbies. And like, if I want to play games, I'm going to pick something that's only, you know, I'm going to feel satisfied with within half an hour, and I can just chill out and just sit down and pick it straight up. So yeah, I mean, I've always kept my eye on modern games, but I do find that like I'm playing more retro stuff just because it's more practical to me, and it kind of like, I respond to it straight away easier. And there's a few little things where it's like I don't think modern games are as tight gameplay wise as retro games are. I think sometimes they rely too heavily on, oh well, the player can just restart as many times as they want. And again, that's kind of like a big kind of time constraint issue really, because it's like I don't want to be restarting the same bit of the game over and over again at any point of the time, unless I'm doing it because it's really because it's just a really challenging bit of the game. But if it's because the game is just like not been very well quality tested, I mean, I was playing Crisis 3 the other day, and I kept falling through planks and dying from fall damage. And you know, in both instances I had to redo a whole half-hour chunk of the game because I'd fallen through this one panel that wasn't there. And it's not like you can tell it from any of the other panels. And you know, I mean, maybe they did really test it really thoroughly, and you know, it just happened that nobody ever touched that particular panel on the top floor of the scaffold or whatever. I don't know, but it kind of smacked of like they hadn't tested it very firmly and they'd rushed it out. And you don't want to be dying to a glitch all the time and it being taking time away from you. But I think that's a whole other discussion, really. So I'm going to leave that out of the retro versus modern discussion and just say, yeah, you know, I play both. I like both, and it depends on my mood as to which one I do, but it also depends on how much time I've got available to myself. And because of the latter, I do find that I'm playing retro more frequently. Anyhow, thank you very much for listening and checking out the video. I hope you're all well. Speak again soon, and peace out.